So this happened about 4 years ago when I was 16. I was super vain and worried about my appearance. I always wanted to look pretty, so I would go all out when I was going out or took pictures. Curled hair, fake lashes, the whole 9 yards. Anyways, I had my Snapchat account set to public, so anyone could watch my stories or snap me. I always figured, well, if someone is weird or whatever, I can just block them. Yeah, right. Well, one day, I'm out to lunch with my mom when this random dude messages me. Says I'm so pretty and this and that, being super nice, but I don't really care to talk to him, so I'm just giving one-word replies, hoping he'll get the hint, because I hate being rude. Then he asks me if I'll send him inappropriate pictures of myself. Absolutely not, and I tell him so. Well, he didn't like that. He proceeds to call me some very harsh names and declares his hatred for all women, and that he's just mad because no one likes him. I told him he was a psycho and laughed at him, and he threatened me very harshly. So then I blocked him. Thought that was the end of it, but it wasn't. After I blocked him, I went about my day when someone added me on Snapchat. I looked at the user info and their snap score was 0 and their username was something really weird. They don't snap me or anything, but continue to watch my stories every single day. Fast forward a few months and this person finally snaps me. I was doing the same one-word replies because I didn't really feel like talking. You'd think I'd learn the first time, but nope. He starts with a nice small talk, whatever, then out of nowhere sends me a couple different selfies of myself that were posted to my story months ago. He asks me if I can print them out for him, gives me the sizes he wants them in, and says he'll give me his address. Hold up. What? I immediately shut it down. Then this dude sends me a couple pictures of myself, framed, in his house, on his wall. I told him off real good and blocked him. Then another account adds me. Another weird username. I remove it and change my account settings. He still has my user, so he adds me from a million different accounts, which I won't add back. They were all super weird usernames. I won't give the actual usernames, but on Snapchat you can choose a display name, and all these were pretty similar to the usernames. They were all very inappropriate and perverted names or phrases, so it was pretty obvious to assume that it was all the same person. Snapchat also tells you how the person added you, via phone number, user search, quick add, etc. They all said user search, so I know he searched it up. And every account had a snap score of 0, so obviously they had just made the account. I know it was him. I've been running in these woods for as long as I can remember, but this might make me change my mind. The story began around 6:30 p.m. I'd finished eating and decided to go on a run, as usual. I always use the same path, cross the street, run for about a kilometer, and pass the gate that goes into the woods. Something important to note is that the trail I use in the forest is separated about halfway through. One path is paved and the other isn't. I usually go onto the unpaved first and then turn into the paved one after about 3 kilometers. Nothing ever really goes wrong. I meet some rare people walking their dogs, but other than that, I'm pretty alone. At least, I thought I was. I'd been running for a while now when I heard a notification coming from my phone. An airdrop notification. Since I didn't want to make it look like I was worried, I kept running for a couple minutes and then stopped to change the music. I opened the airdrop dreadfully. Who the heck was sending me stuff? I was pretty sure I was alone. I clicked on the drop and my heart sunk. It was a Snapchat picture of me running with a caption that said, "You look so good." I didn't turn around. Instead, I kept running like nothing happened until I reached a certain point. You see, the forest is surrounded by a fence to stop children from coming in unsupervised, and I didn't like that rule when I was little, so my friends and I cut a hole in it. When I was aligned with that hole, I quickly turned and buried myself into the forest, aiming for my escape. I could hear ruffling behind me, and I still didn't turn around. When I finally reached the hole, I jumped through it and absolutely booked it to the fire station that was a couple streets down. The last things I could hear when leaving the forest was an angry huff and metal meeting metal. I still don't know who it was or what they wanted from me, but I never ran in this forest again. This happened about a month ago. I'm kind of a paranoid person and didn't know if I was going to deal with something like this again. But since it's been about a month and nothing has happened again, I thought I'd share it. I would like to point out that English is not my first language, so please excuse me for any errors in the story. Here it is. I'm a 22-year-old girl from Bulgaria, studying art in another town. I was back home to my parents' house for Christmas vacation, so this happened a little after New Year's. My parents' house is in a little village near a big town where I grew up. We moved into the village and we live in a 2-story house. I was sitting one night in my room, drawing in my sketchbook and listening to some horror stories on YouTube, as I usually do. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was immersed in a scary story, not knowing that I would be living in my own horror story real soon. It started with me receiving a notification from Snapchat that someone had added me. I was kind of confused, but still opened it and saw that someone with the username Lappy789 added me as a friend. Now, I would like to explain why this was weird to me. I don't use Snapchat anymore. I just have it on my phone for no reason at all. I have very little friends on Snapchat, and none of them even use it, so I didn't think it was someone I knew. And I don't have my location on, or Bitmoji, or whatever it's called, that can give away my location and my username to people nearby. Also, I don't have my username written anywhere on my social media. So out of curiosity, I added Lappy789 and opened their profile to see if they had a picture or something that could tell me who this was. There was nothing. Only their Snapchat score, which was about 7. I set my phone on my desk and started to rewind the video to listen to the parts that I missed while I was distracted with the phone. As I was getting ready to go back to sketching, I got a notification that Lappy789 sent me a snap. I opened it, and it was a picture of grass, taken with the flash on. I looked at it confused and then went to chat box to type, "What is this? Who are you?" Lappy789 received it, then it said they read it, but they didn't respond. At this point, I started to ask all of my friends if it was one of them or if they had given my username to someone, but no one confessed. The next snap came, and it was a picture of what looked like a red tile. I was growing very impatient, and once again I texted the person, asking who he is or if we knew each other. They saw my message and didn't respond. Next snap came, and I was prepared to start screenshotting to show my boyfriend. It was a picture of what looked like a little knob, but I couldn't see what it was exactly. I failed to screenshot it, so I had to replay the snap. When I screenshotted it, I went to look at the picture and realized that it was a little closing mechanism on our backyard gazebo. At this point, I'm slowly realizing that this person is sending me Snapchats from my backyard. And by the way, it's not so easy for someone to come into our backyard, as we have a very tall fence and you have to take your time and scout the place around to find a possible way to climb the fence. And it was dark, so it would be difficult. That to me meant that whoever this was, they've been looking around during the day to find a way to get in. I stood up from my desk and ran to turn off all the lights. When it was dark, I tried to peek through my window shades to the backyard, but it was a very cloudy and dark night, so I didn't see anything. Next snap came, and like last time, I was ready to screenshot. When I opened the snap, I nearly screamed. It was a picture of the tip of a ceramic abstract sculpture that we have in our backyard. I ran out of my room, not knowing what to do. For some strange reason, I didn't want to wake up my dad and tell him what was going on. My mom was sleeping downstairs on the couch, and I was upstairs, trying to figure out how to open the super loud and screechy door to our terrace without waking up my parents and letting that freak know what I was doing. I battled with the door for about 30 seconds, but I managed to open it quietly and carefully stepped outside to look at the backyard. I didn't see anything. I looked and looked, trying to stay as low as I can so that the snapper wouldn't see me, but I couldn't see anything. I went inside, once again trying my best to be as quiet as possible, when I received another Snapchat from Lappy789. It was a picture of my mom, sleeping on the couch, taken from outside through a crack in the blinds. This freak took a photo of my mom. As shocked and terrified as I was, I still managed to screenshot it. At this point, I lost it. I started screaming for my dad. He came out of the bedroom and tried to calm me down as I was trying to explain to him that there was somebody in our backyard. I could see that he didn't really take me seriously, but he went outside anyways, carrying his gun. My mom was awake now, trying to calm me down as I was hyperventilating, failing to explain to her what Snapchat was. My dad came inside after checking everywhere and said that he didn't find anybody. I showed them the pictures and they seemed disturbed now, but said that it was probably a kid or one of my friends trying to mess with us. The thing is that I don't live in the big town that I lived in before we moved to this nearby village. All of my friends live either in my hometown or other towns in the country, and I don't really know anyone in the village that I live in now. So the idea that it might have been somebody I know didn't seem right to me. I went in my room when I calmed down and checked my phone, remembering that I didn't look to see if I had any new snaps after I showed my parents the pictures. I had 3 new snaps from Lappy789. There was a picture of our front gate, which I wasn't able to screenshot, and 2 messages saying, "See you soon," and "Bye." I immediately blocked the account. I barely slept that night. I texted and called all of my friends, begging them to confess if it was one of them, but nobody did. When I told what happened to my boyfriend, he asked everybody that he knew, but still nothing. We tried to find the account, but we soon found out that they had deactivated it. There is no one in the name of Lappy789 anymore. I deleted Snapchat that night and don't think I'll ever use it again. The next day, I went outside to look around to see if the creep left something behind and saw footprints on a little muddy patch near the place that they took the photo of my mom. My dad doesn't seem to believe it was the footprints of the intruder, saying that it was probably one of us stepping there, but I'm pretty sure they weren't ours. To this day, I still don't know who it was. I've asked everyone that I know, but nothing has come up of it. I still wonder what their intentions were. Were they trying to scare me? Were they stalking me? Who were they? How did they find me? How did they enter my backyard? Do they still send me Snapchats? I wouldn't know. I deleted the app. Recently, there was a new feature on Snapchat, which was that there was an AI that you can talk to. Of course, being me, I decided to talk to it all the time. I would ask it stupid questions such as, write me an essay on Vikings, or how many colors exist. One day, I was in bed, asking it various absurd questions, and I started to ask strange questions for laughs. Are you human? Where am I located? It started to say, sorry, I don't have access to know where you are, and messages saying it's just an AI and can't answer those types of questions. I had an idea to ask it to give me a location nearby. I sent it knowing it was going to say it doesn't have access to where I live and all that stuff. Then it replied, here's a random location near you. 40, 24, 06.1 north, 101, 49, 43.8 west. I was shocked. The AI gave myself a random coordinate. I copy and paste the coordinates into Google Maps, expecting this to be across the globe, but the location of the coordinate was a plain field in Nebraska, my state. I was shocked and confused. I asked it about the coordinate, and it says it used a satellite. I asked it why it knows my state and location, and then it says it doesn't have access to my location. I was so weirded out. Several days passed by, and I become bored of the AI on Snapchat. One day, I sat on my bed scrolling through Instagram until the thought of the coordinating the AI thing gave me came back to my memory. The thought was stuck with me for several days until I just broke. I had to find this location. On a Saturday, when I was off, I drove to the location. I put the coordinates into Waze and just drove where it told me to. The location was in the middle of nowhere. I kept driving on a single road with no turns. At this point, I was in the countryside. The location was off-road, where I drove on a dirt road, going and going. I looked at my car's clock. It was almost 5 p.m. "You're all set at your location," I heard the GPS say. I stepped out and followed my phone. I was in a plain field with absolutely nothing. No houses, no buildings, no one. I looked in the distance and saw a small hill not too tall. I thought that had to be it. I walked towards it. I noticed it was starting to get dark, but there was still a little bit of sunlight out. I saw a sewer tunnel, but it wasn't on the ground. It was upright on the hill. The tunnel was blocked out by metal bars, and looking at the area, it was a field of grass and nothing. But here by the tunnel, it was messy and the garbage was everywhere. I walked closer to it. What am I even doing? I asked myself, was I expecting gold or cash? I felt embarrassed of all the time I'd wasted here. I began to walk back until I heard faint cat noises, meowing. I turned behind and was shocked, so I walked back to the tunnel. Hello? The tunnel was covered in graffiti, and it was covered in weeds as well. It was too dark to see. I shined my flashlight. I stood still. My heart sank into my stomach. My head started to heat. Right in front of me was a long, fleshy, skinless creature. It had no eyes, but its mouth was pure nightmare. It had the most rusted-looking teeth and fingernails. It stood there, twisted with its arm mangled. It continued to meow. It ran towards me, but couldn't get to me because of the bar. I started to run. The most terrifying thing came next. While running very faintly, I heard the sound of metal clinging. I looked back. The bars to the tunnel were open, and that demonic thing was standing there. It started to run towards me again, but thankfully I was in my car at that point. I stepped on the pedal and sped the heck out of there. I kept driving nonstop. My mind was lost in a dust storm. My thoughts were blurry, and I was so scared and so lost. The next few days I couldn't sleep at all. I messaged the Snapchat team about finding a location with illegal stuff. I knew no one would believe me. I was most confused about the AI that gave me the coordinates to there. My mind tried to forget about it, until the next few weeks. I saw posters and posts on missing construction workers, all near a sewer.